I truly do understand how guys can be driven to like walk out of their children's lives because of their baby mama, whomever. And I know that this doesn't just happen to men that end up in this situation where they're pushed to the limit and just feel like walking away from their child is easier than having to go through their baby mama gatekeeper. It's not something that I support, but I get it. In the case of like these custody battles or child support battles, be pushing you to your limit, and it'd be tough. It is tough because in the midst of them pushing you to your limit, you're also having to take care of yourself, show up for your child with a smile on your face and love in your heart. And you know also in the back of your mind that if you just walk away, all of this shit can just go away. The truth of the matter is you end up having to deal with like the pain of not being able to, be with your child or whatever, plus the regret that might be beating you down of having made that decision to walk away, even if you felt like you may have been forced. So to the people that might be going through a situation like that and wanting to give up, I absolutely want to encourage you to just hold on, stick in there a little bit more, because all the bullshit that you're having to deal with your ex is exactly the reason why your child needs you in their life. Hello and welcome back to Lex Talk. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alexis, and the purpose of this channel is to have real conversations about life, love, and relationships, because I believe that the intersection of our testimonies is where the magic happens. Basically, when we take the time to share our experiences in life openly and honestly, I think that we're able to truly understand how similar we are and feel a whole lot less alone and weird, because honestly, we're all just trying to make it. We're trying to thrive in this journey of life. So last week, I caught you guys up on what's been going on with me. I took a brief hiatus for a couple weeks because life was doing the absolute most. And I just needed a mental health break, y'all. I needed some time to myself, some time with God, to kind of just like get a grip on things, because it felt like things were just starting to get out of control and slip out of my grasp. And I just had to make sure that I was okay. I had to do right by myself. So, yeah, if you're curious, if you're just nosy, whatever, you came to the right place, because I love sharing my business. Just hop on over to last week's episode and check it out to get up to speed. But today, I want to basically just pick up where I left off, and that was learning to say fuck it. And I spoke about how I kind of, one of the ways that I learned this of dealing with my ex's man cave and learning to accept that, and how actually it can be so much more of a blessing when I just kind of let go of trying to control everything. But really, I've been on this journey of letting things go for at least the past decade or so. I mentioned, I think in the last episode, a number of situations just through adult life that I had no control over, and no matter how fucked up they were, I had to kind of just let it go, or it would just rot me from the inside out. So learning to just let go of things has been so helpful for me, especially because of the way I'm wired. I tend to like to plan things out. Like it helps me to manage my expectations. It helps me to prioritize, because the way that my mind works, it's, if I have a list of things to do, if I don't take the time to like sit in, I mean, I don't have to write it down necessarily, but writing it helps, but I need to take the time to sit and organize how I'm going to accomplish it. Like what comes first, prioritize. Otherwise, my mind just sees it as one big task that I try to do all at once, which basically means that I don't get shit done. Either I do a little bit of each thing, or I just am paralyzed and don't get up and do anything. And so planning things out is just the way that I operate. There's some ways that I can wing it. Like, for instance, when I come here and I talk and I wing it, like certain things that just come naturally that I can just do, but that doesn't mean that I'm doing it well. I can do it, I can get through it, but if I want to do something well or efficiently, I kind of need to think about it a little bit. So, yeah, I plan, and also managing my expectations. If I don't kind of take the time to think it through, then I might be expecting something that's not even possible. And so I like to, it's just a way that makes me feel comfortable. It's one of my core values that makes me feel safe and secure. But one of the like pitfalls of that kind of mentality is sometimes you can trick yourself into believing that because you plan everything out that you have control over the outcome. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, if anybody has had luck with controlling their destiny, please share your secrets, because as far as I have experienced, the most that I've got was a very false sense of security, which, not gonna lie, like false sense of security be making you feel good. Like every day when we wake up and we go to our job, like working for somebody else, working for an employer, or even sometimes working for ourselves, just feeling like that check is guaranteed, that is what we call a false sense of security. Like at any point they could either fire you or your check can just not show up. And even if I think I was just having this conversation with my cousin about like some banks closing or something like that, and you know your money's supposed to be FDIC insured. What if it ain't? I mean, yes, you can go through different channels to try to fight and all this other stuff, but until you get a resolution, you broke, bitch. Like, that's just what it is. And so anyways, trying to balance this desire to plan things out with understanding that doesn't necessarily dictate the outcome is certainly a challenge for me. I think of every time that I've been invited on a date, whether it's like romantic or a friendship or just anything like that. And when I have plans, when I have an event in the future that is planned or scheduled, I prepare for it. Whether that's me doing my hair, whether that's me getting an outfit together, or making sure that I get whatever I need to get done beforehand so I can be present there, or anything that I might be doing. I am preparing. In my mind, this spot is being held for this event or outing or whatever. And anytime that I've had it where those plans were canceled, it is so tough for me. Not something that I can't like deal with, but it's like my heart is broken. I get so sad because and I don't think it's just has to do with my planning nature or controlling nature. I think it's anytime you get excited, you're anticipating something fun happening, and then the worst thing is to have this big old gaping hole that used to be filled with something fun that you were going to do. For me, it really throws me off. It's just like for a moment I lose my shit and I have to like gather myself and just be like, girl, get over it. It's okay. You'll be fine. But it's like I'm like, okay, I need to replace that. I need to fill this gap. This gap can't just remain open. It can in all actuality, but it's just, I don't know. It just really hits me pretty hard. I'm saying it hits me hard, but I won't say you would never know. You probably notice a little bit of a stankness attitude or whatever, but you wouldn't notice anything outlandish or crazy or whatever. But it is something that I have to actively work to keep myself in control in those situations when I really just am sad and disappointed or whatever. So yeah, as good as letting it go is for me, it's something that I have to actively like keep working to incorporate, because it's not my natural response. And there's also the times that letting it go isn't beneficial or appropriate. And that's typically in a situation where dealing with things that are too important or super impactful or long lasting, that you can't just leave things to chance. And that, my dear guys and gals, is absolutely the case with divorce with a child involved. Because you basically have two people that are fighting for the most important being in both of their lives. And so it's not a situation where they can just like let shit go. You really have to give it all you got, both of you simultaneously. So you find yourself having to both accept some really, really uncomfortable and sometimes fucked up realities. And I mean things like you might not be able to see your kids, or your parental rights might be challenged, or you might have to support your ex financially, or your house might be taken away, your cars, any of your possessions might be seized, or you might not be able to make ends meet. You might have to hire an expensive lawyer and fork over half of your savings. Like, I'm talking about like some really difficult things, realities that you might have to accept, while at the same time hoping like you've never hoped in your entire life. Like, you have to fight your hardest in the midst of just like tragedy possibly happening while it's happening. And my experience dealing with this over the past 2 years has been even further complicated by bullshit. I have had to spend my time, my resources, proving or disproving rather some dumb shit, because the way that the court system is set up, it is slow, it is archaic, it don't have enough, like humanity or human input. And basically it's super easy to jam up the court process. So no matter what, if anybody brings up a case in court, no matter how ridiculous, no matter how untrue it is, you still have to go through the process of disproving it. And it's not like an easy thing. Like, you have to, paperwork filed, snail mail, waiting for things to like be reviewed and accepted and all this. It's a long, arduous process for each step. And it's easy to make it just muddy up the waters and just make it a mess. And so that's absolutely what I've been having to deal with. And so to all the guys out there that have been dealing with or have dealt with a bitter or greedy or just spiteful baby mama, I'm here to tell you, I hear you, I see you, I empathize with you, and I wish to God that I didn't. I wish to God that I didn't understand you so deeply. It's just, so yeah, my heart goes out to my damn self and anybody else that's having to go through the court system to fight for or on behalf of a child, especially to those that are just trying to do right by the child and are having to deal with the shenanigans. Like, it's exhausting, it's frustrating. And when I tell you, although I pray to God that this will never be my lot in life, and I don't really support it, I understand. I truly do understand how guys can be driven to leave walk out of their children's lives because of their co-parent, whatever you want to call it, baby mama, whomever. And I know that this doesn't just happen to men. It does happen to women, just far less. And I think a lot of the time, honestly, I don't really even know honestly, I can't really think of a case that I know of with a woman, but I would imagine that there probably are some out there. But for men in particular, because especially if they're not married, they have to fight first for parental rights and then for everything else that I'm fighting for. So I do think that it does largely tend to be men that end up in this situation where they're pushed to the limit and just can't deal with it anymore and just feel like walking away from their child is easier than having to go through their bitter or petty baby mama gatekeeper. And it's so tragic. And like I said, like, it's not something that I support, but I get it. I get it, and I wish that it wasn't the case. It's kind of like when a woman deals with like post-traumatic stress disorder, postpartum depression, and or even a father, and they commit some kind of like really heinous act towards their child. It's not something that anybody condones, but we understand the chemical imbalance that happens that can lead to something like that. In the case of like these custody battles or child support battles or whatever, bitches be pushing you to your limit, and it be tough. It is tough because in the midst of them pushing to your limit, you're also having to do all the things, adult life, take care of yourself, show up for your child with a smile on your face and love in your heart, and you know also in the back of your mind that if you just walk away, all of this shit can just go away. Now, the truth of the matter is you end up having to deal with another sort of pain on the back end, plus the pain of regret, like the pain of not being able to, be with your child or whatever, plus the regret that might be beating you down of having walked away, having made that decision to walk away, even if you felt like you may have been forced to make that decision. So, yeah, I definitely, to all of the people that might be going through a situation like that and wanting to give up, I absolutely want to encourage you to just hold on, stick in there a little bit more. And when you stick in there a little bit more, stick in there a little bit more, because all the bullshit that you're having to deal with your ex is exactly the reason why your child needs you in their life, to help kind of bring an element of balance to this, because otherwise they will 100% be influenced by your ex's ways. And, ultimately, like, two parents are better than one. Even if you think your ex is crazy, or even if you don't think your ex is crazy, you think that they're a good parent that just hates your ass, it's still good to have two parents input on the child's life. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage you to keep fighting as long as you got just the ounce, just a little bit of fight in you. Do that. And y'all, I am not talking to the trash people that are just like trying to be sometimes there and making the lives more complicated for their children. All the Will Smith all the like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Will Smith, all of those dads, fathers, or parents, nah, out with them. But to those that are actually showing up, trying to, like I said, do right by their child, stick in there. And to all of the people on the other side, you petty motherfuckers, you spiteful, bitter motherfuckers, please understand that all of your antics, all of the things that you are doing literally just to spite your ex, the mother or father of your child, please understand that it has very direct and some indirect implications on the life of your child. The well-being of both of the parents, the stability of both of the parents, is to the child's benefit. It's also to your benefit, because it's a whole lot easier to co-parent with somebody that has themselves together, that is stable, that is mentally okay and not distressed from your fuck shit. And so just try to, and I say this from a place, again, of empathy, because while I am dealing with the antics, I am also the one that was hurt, the one that was left. And so as much as I would love to stick it to him and get revenge, every time I think about something like that, I think about how it's going to affect my daughter. You know, like I need him to be his best self, which is why some of this shit bothers the fuck out of me, because nigga, I need you to be okay, because she needs you and I need her. I need you to be able to be there for her. So like, keep that in mind. Like, try your hardest to put the emotional fallout between the two of you to the side, if but for a moment, to deal with your child and make sure that they have the best that they can get from their parents. You know, it's already a fucked up enough situation. Don't continue to fuck it up worse, you know? And if you continue to let that bitterness crawl far enough up your ass, it will lay eggs and they will hatch. And they're going to be all up and through your body, just bitterness all up and through. And I guarantee you, the child will see it. As a child of divorce that knows many other children of divorce, we always come to know who our parents really are. You can't hide your character but for so long. At some point, it will be made known. And that's something that I've been able to truly kind of lean on in this process. And it's also kept me in check. Because like I said, all those times that I really want to just like act out, which, you know, I don't. It's not really in my character. I got to go through so many checkpoints for my body to allow me to act in the way that I might want to act. But one of those checkpoints is my daughter. One thing that I never want her to be able to say is that I got in the way of her having a solid relationship with her dad. I don't want that shit on my conscience. And for what? Like, again, him being his best self is good for me, because that means that I have a dependable co-parent. You know, like, please get your shit together. Get your shit together and don't get in the way of my shit, so that I can keep my shit together, so that we can ultimately have two stable bomb ass parents for our daughter, you know? But also knowing that my character is always going to be revealed, his character is always going to be revealed, has allowed me to kind of sit back and coast at some junctures. Not for everything. No, there's a whole lot of work that I'm having to put in, but you know, when, like, that balance of let it go and fight. The let it go part is, one, God's going to keep me. He's going to preserve me. Two, don't worry. He's going to be himself. You don't have to worry. You don't have to put in the extra effort to prove who he is, because he's going to prove it by being himself. And when I tell you, like, one of our, you know, hearings, all I had to do was just show up and shut up. And everything that needed to be said on behalf of me, he said it himself. I didn't have to prove anything. And that's something I can testify to as, again, as a child of divorce. You don't have to worry about proving it to the child, like, this is who I am and this is what they did to me. It will come out. It will come out in life. You don't have to say a word. I have no doubt in my mind that my daughter is going to know exactly who her father is without me saying a word. Because your character is your character is your character. And again, sowing seeds into that character every single day. Every single day. And that's gonna be what pours out of you. And the same way that I didn't know your character until I met your character and experienced your character, everybody that encounters you is going through the same experience. They may not know you when they first meet you, but when they spend a little time with you, they gather the full you. And that is just how it goes. Even con artists can only hold that up for so long. At a certain point, You spend enough time with somebody, they're going to find out who you really are. And so that goes for both sides. For the one that's being petty as fuck, you're sowing seeds of bitterness into your future. And for the other one that's having to deal with the petty, don't sweat it. That pettiness is going to come out to everybody that encounters them. And you don't need to rest your pretty little head on devising any type of plan to make sure the world knows just how terrible they are. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Spend your energy on other things, because if you spend your energy on that, you're going to be just in the same bitter ass spot as them. And it is not worth it. I swear it is not worth it. I'm not all the way through this, but I know that it is not worth it. So, all right. So even though I don't feel like the need to seek vengeance or, like to kind of, I don't know, just be as petty as I could be, as I would like to be sometimes. The commitment to stay like moral in this process, to maintain my integrity in this process, it's at a certain point, it starts to kind of be to my detriment, and not being petty. Not being petty is always going to is good, but the commitment to be moral sometimes goes over the top and starts to act against me. And this is what I mean. So my problem is no matter what I seem to go through this divorce, I still be holding out this little bit of hope that we gonna get our shit together and learn how to co-parent well. And while that's a really great idea, hope, fantasy, dream, whatever, act like holding out like this space for that to happen is taking from me. It's taking resources, space, time, energy from me. And this is why. So if I am planning something for my daughter, if I am planning a birthday party, or I'm thinking of starting her like in piano lessons, the way that my mind works is I be operating as though she got two damn parents, because she does. And so my mind is like, okay, piano lessons, great. How is this going to affect her when she's with him? Like, are piano lessons on his days too, or just my days? Where are piano lessons located? Is it far away from him? Is it far away from me? Is it in the middle? Do I need to find a place that's equidistant between both of us if she's going to be going on his days and my days? The cost, is it going to be split, or is it going to just be me footing the bill? If it's split, then maybe I can find something a little nicer, better quality. If not, then maybe I have to go to like something a little bit cheaper. Is he interested in being just as involved? Is he going to be like, maybe I should go to a different thing like sports or soccer or something like that? Is he going to be an active and involved dad, or is it just going to be me? In which case I need to find something. Maybe I do piano lessons if it's just going to be me. If it's going to be him and me, maybe I do a sport so he can be just as rah, something that he's into as well. I'm doing all of this thinking about everything, trying to make sure that if it is going to be a collaborative effort, that we're both able to collaborate well with her. The problem is he don't necessarily want to. And more importantly, he didn't ask. And so I'm doing all of this, like, I'm literally like planning two lives, one where it's just me, one where it's both of us. I'm exerting so much energy, y'all. So much energy for somebody that doesn't want it and didn't ask for it. And so I'm over here going the extra mile, and then I'm tired on the back end because I done ran this extra goddamn lap. Stop it. I need to stop it. Stop it right now. And I know that it's a very simple concept. It makes a lot of sense in my mind, but living it out is tough, because I feel every time I want to not think of how it's going to affect her when she's with him, it feels selfish for one, and it also feels as though, well, if he does decide to opt in later, then I got to redo all the plans that I did anyways. I mean, he might help plan it, but that means that the time that I spent thinking of this plan just for myself is wasted, and I need to then now redo. So for instance, if I were to think about the plan by myself and I was to do music lessons, right? Because I'm not trying to be outside by myself. Like, nah, like if this is a 2-parent thing, I'm happy to do the sports avenue because I can share that burden of being super excited for a sport that I may not know, or being outside and all the other stuff. So now, I have her doing music lessons, and he comes and he wants to do sports with her. Well, now either we're both paying for two sports, 2 activities, and y'all, these activities for these children do not be free or cheap. So I guess if we have the money to just both do 2 separate things, not just money, but money and time, having her committed to all of these things is just wearing us the fuck down, or would be. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, I really wish that I knew that we were going to work together, because if I did, we would just put her in soccer, call it a day, work together. Great. And so for me, it seems like doing the lone wolf course ends up being more work or more complicated on the back end, as opposed to just figuring it out together and moving forward with that plan. And although that might make sense in my mind, it's not my reality. And I have to accept that. I have to accept that maybe his ass don't want to work this shit out with you. Or maybe it's just not right now. But in any case, you don't have the bandwidth to continue to operate as though y'all are besties. So stop, bitch. So, on behalf of myself, I am committing to stopping the nonsense. So I'm learning the difference between actively holding the door open and instead of passively being willing to open the door when somebody knocks, bars. We'll see how I do, because it like I said, it's not my default, and my mind goes through all of these different scenarios, and it seems like it's a better case to just do it, but it's not, and I need to accept that, and I am trying. I'm trying. All right, so that, like, those situations, like the fuckery with the court case, trying to work together but not really being able to work, that's kind of what I've been having to deal with. And were it not for my little baby girl, y'all, like, I would have thrown in the towel. I would have been just like the niggas I was saying, be leaving their children because they're tired. I wouldn't leave my daughter ever. I pray, because I actually can't even say that, because I don't know what would happen if I'm driven to the end of myself. But so far, I have not been driven to that point, and I pray that never becomes my story. But y'all, if I was going through this divorce with no child, I can't say that it would be easy, because I don't believe that, but I would have thrown in the towel long ago, y'all. I would have absolutely just washed my hands of this and just, whatever my lot, he's taught me to say, it is well with my soul. I would have said, Lord, you just gonna have to deal with this. But unfortunately, because my daughter's well-being is the prize that I'm fighting for, I cannot. Because at the end of the day, I need him to be stable. I need me to be stable. I need us to be good, so that we can raise this daughter well. So anyways, that has been the stuff that has kind of been leading to me to this, I guess it's kind of situational depression that I may have been dealing with. Let me not even say that, because ain't nobody diagnosed me. It's just been tough because of what has been going on. But I've also been learning some things throughout that process, in addition to what I just mentioned. And so, yeah, I want to switch to talking about some of the things that I have been learning. Hindsight 2020, boy, oh boy. One of those things, and it's kind of like advice that I would give to my younger, unmarried, childless self. The first thing that I would say, hey boo, if you're thinking about getting married or having kids, take the time to truly sit with and understand what you're committing to, and also what it requires of others. And that's to the extent possible, because of course you can't know everything that you're committing to because you've never been through it. At this point in my life, I guess I can. So maybe I'm talking to young self and today's self. Just take the time to truly, like, y'all, the same way that you research before you buy a car or you buy a house or you try out a new goddamn restaurant. Read the reviews, bitch. Alexis, young self, Alexis, today self, read the reviews. Because as much as I would like to say, I wish that my ex knew what he was committing to, I too had a hand in this. I chose him back, and I said yes when he proposed. I said yes at the altar. I said yes when he wanted to have children. But what I will say is, I think I was so busy making sure that I was prepared for what I was committing to and getting into, that I didn't really take the time to truly read the reviews and glean whether or not he was ready for any of those things. And y'all, hindsight, me and hindsight he gonna have to come see me, because he should have made it more clear. Like, more clear. Because there were definitely a number of reviews that I whole ass dismissed, y'all. When you just see something and be like, oh, they just bitter. Oh, they just had a bad batch. It was them. It was just, a one-off, an anomaly. No. They are representative of the product, and you need to accept that. One of those review type things that I can remember was definitely like his mom. And it didn't come off like a bad review. It came off like a cautionary tale. When we first got engaged, I remember her sitting us down. She wrote a whole letter to us, and just talking. She was just kind of cautioning us to not rush into things. And I was so busy being offended, y'all. I was thinking, surely this woman thinks that I'm not good enough for her son. She thinks that I'm out here trying to trap him or something like that. Like, does she not know who the fuck I is? Does she not know that I got my whole life together? And if anybody's gonna be worried, it needs to be my daddy. But really, that wasn't it at all. Like, in fact, she didn't know me well enough to make any of those assessments. My ex and I were together for like a year and a half before he proposed, but we were long distance. Long distance from them. We lived in the same area up north while they were down in South Florida. So she didn't know me well enough to make that assessment, but she absolutely knew her son well enough to make that assessment. And I think that's where that energy was coming from. It wasn't really like, baby girl, you're not ready. It was, baby girl, whatever you might have going on, like, this is my son, and him be pushing the gas on some things that he's not quite paid for yet. So yeah, read the reviews, look at not only, and I know that this is like basic shit, like you want to know like what family they come from and what they, their opinions of them. But when I tell you, I don't feel like it came off as blatant as I think we typically expect. It's not like somebody walks up to you and says he no good. It's not like that's happening. It's more like, are you sure? Okay. as opposed to my parents who were, well, my dad was cautionary, but not because of like we're not ready. He was like, y'all don't waste no money on this. Like find a way to do this for the free. That's where my dad was coming from. But like it was never a feeling like she's not ready. That's not what you got, because that wasn't what my parents believed about me. They were really confident in the daughter that they had raised. And so not that you need to just take everything at face value and just believe everything that everybody else says, but somebody that knows your partner like best friends, family members, like there's usually an element of truth in what they're saying, usually, unless they're just some kind of pathological liar. But taking the time to be like, let's explore that some more is probably not a bad idea. Another thing, in reading the reviews, that saying that they say about like, watch how they treat their enemies. Also, watch how they treat people that they used to be cool with that they no longer fuck with. Watch how they treat people when they are frustrated or embarrassed or angry or sad, when they're in a challenging situation. All of those different things are really what you want to me, I think, things that are key, because all the things that they're great at, those are never the situations that you're gonna like hold on to in that way. Like you're gonna remember them and be like, oh yeah, they're great at this. It's the things that they're not good at that challenge you, that you end up having to have the most time like dealing with. So those are the things that you really want to know. Like when they're mad at somebody, or if they have a group project and they hate all the group members, are they the type that's going to stick with it and get the job done and do their part, carry their load? Or are they just going to bow out and be like, whatever the fuck happens, it's on them? Those are character traits. Those are things that you want to peep that might end up informing how they're going to carry their lives out with you. Just little things like that. And I guess this is probably why, as we get older, the pool shrinks and shrinks, because we start to recognize things that when we were younger, we'd be like, sure, okay. And now we're like, bitch, no. I know it seems small, but also I know better. And it definitely does make our pool a lot smaller to choose from, but it's because I think we're choosing well, as opposed to just available. And so, yeah, that is that. Another thing that I would say, take the time that you need to evolve into the person that you're looking to become. And what I mean by that is I was very intentional about showing up as the wife that I believed I needed to be. The problem is I ain't had no goddamn blueprint. I did not know what that bitch looked like or was supposed to look like, but I thought I did. And what I mean by taking the time to allow yourself to evolve, I committed almost immediately to be the person that I thought I was supposed to be when I became a wife. Meaning, and for me, that looked different than what it's going to look like for other people. But coming from as a child of divorce, that has a lot of influence on how I move through the world, how I see the world, how I was brought up. But as a child of divorce, I didn't have, obviously, I didn't have marriage modeled to me in a way that I wanted to emulate. And as a result, I think I overcompensated, and maybe I still do, because I wanted to prove the statistics wrong. Oh, well, that didn't go so well. But anyways, I wanted to prove that I can come from this without the blueprint and still break generational curses and be free of that. And so I think that I showed up in a way that was counter to the way that I was. And not that I was like being deceitful. I wholeheartedly was ready for this and still do. I'm okay with it. And this is, let me break it down. Being raised by a strong Black mom. My dad was in the picture, but I spent majority of my time with my mom. So she was the strong Black single mom. And so I was taught to be strong. I was taught to be independent. I was taught to take care of myself. But as I came to know God and I got a different, like a more biblical view of marriage and relationships and like just those types of dynamics, I decided that I didn't want those traits of strength, independence, leadership to be the thing that I was characterized by solely. Like I definitely want those things because I don't see those as bad traits, but I don't want them to be seen as with the negative connotation of not being able to work well with others or not being able to submit in some cases. Now I know it's a trigger word, but in the context, the biblical purest form, I love it. Not being able to be led or hear other people, or be wrong. I didn't want that to be what characterized my character or me. And so I changed. And I attribute most of that change to my walk as a Christian is what it is. It's not that I don't have those characteristics still in me and that I don't use them all the time to my benefit, but I again have a little bit more depth to me that allows me to adapt as needed for the right situations. And so as soon as I got into the marriage landscape, as soon as I was engaged, and honestly, even before then, like in the relationship, I felt the need to support my ex in a way that I felt a wife is supposed to do. So I was committed to, again, showing up as that support way before I was actually ready to. Because in my mind, this is what I need to do. So I tend to have that kind of mindset, like, well, regardless of whether you're there or not, this is what needs to be done. So deal with it, suck it up, and you'll get there. No. So me committing to being, again, this wife that I had in my mind before I was ready led me to plan a wedding before I was actually ready to. It led me to move to a place that had tremendous effects on my career before I was ready to. It had me make a number of decisions that impacted my career before I had the chance to truly understand the implications. And so I think it's important to take the time to fully understand what you are committing to before you step into it. And so there's the marriage part, like stepping into the marriage, and then there's, once you're in the marriage, the evolution to, again, to be that wife or that husband that you're reaching for. You have to really understand what you're saying you're willing to do before you just go and do it. And I think a lot of that because don't get it twisted, I don't regret the person that I was in my marriage. I don't regret the things that I did. But what I do wish that I had done was taken the time to evaluate the impact that those sacrifices would have on me so that I could make sure that I understand what I need so that I don't feel neglected after making all these sacrifices, meaning if I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to pour into your career, this means that mine is probably going to stagnate for a little while. And so I need you to recognize that I'm making this sacrifice for the benefit of you and for our family or future family, whatever you want to call it. And I also need to know that you not only see the sacrifice, but you understand that in order for me to feel justified and secure in this sacrifice, that you are going to be willing to do the same for me on the back end. Meaning, once we've done all this pouring into your career and your trajectory, I need to know that you have my back in trying to fulfill whatever dreams that I may have left behind in pursuit of yours. And so I didn't take the time to do that. I didn't take the time to say, all right, Alexis, if you put your stuff on pause to do this for him, how are you going to feel? What are you going to need to feel secure? And does he know it? So since I didn't take the time to find out what I actually needed, I surely didn't take the time to communicate those things to him. And so as a result, instead of having a partner that was able to say, hey, I see the sacrifices that you made on my behalf. And I see that because of those sacrifices, my career is here and yours was left back in, 2000, whatever. So now let me go ahead and repay the favor. Let me make sure that you're good. Make sure that you feel fulfilled in your career, your dream, whatever it is that's on your heart to complete. Let me make sure that you are able to achieve that in the same way that you were looking out for me. Instead of having a partner that says that, I have one that doesn't even know that he is still on my shoulders and has been there for a minute. And in fact, he feels entitled to it. I can't even say that it's all his fault though, because I didn't take the time to make sure that both he and I were on the same page about what I was having to do. And also, well, no, let me not say that. I was going to say that he didn't ask, but no, he did ask in different circumstances, for sure. But I was so quick to just be like, yeah, because that's what a supportive wife does, that I didn't take the time to make sure that I was okay being that supportive wife in the full breadth of what that entailed. And so, yeah, whatever your idea is of what you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be as a spouse, as a parent, it's all well and good to have those aspirations, but don't trick yourself into thinking that you're there just because you have now gained the title. It takes some evolution, and it's better for you to be fully aware of what that's going to mean, what the impact is going to be to you. Otherwise, you're going to move through life in a way that has certain expectations that may not be understood by all parties. Yeah. And so you just kind of don't want to do that. So yeah, those are the main things that I was like, noted. So definitely something I'm going to carry into future relationship. No S at the end because I don't need a whole bunch of them. But yeah, so yeah, I will say, y'all, I did mention this in the last episode. I'm like that I am doing much better now. But the reason I'm doing much better, y'all, is because I think that this divorce is about to be over. And I'm so ecstatic. And don't mishear me, because I never wanted divorce. But I am so excited for this process to be over and done with, because like this hiatus that I had to take, the effect that it's been having on my mental health is tremendous. And it's just too much. It is absolutely too much. So yeah, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I promise you, I have not been able to see that for this entire 2-year process. So fingers crossed, prayers up. Hopefully no curveballs are thrown my way, but I'm about to be done. And this also means I'm about to be back in these streets, y'all. And not like, again, the streets ain't fun and it's not for everybody, but I also do be having a good take on it. I've had a nice little break from it, and believe me, I'm ready to get back out there. But I'm intentionally taking this time to myself to allow some of the dust to settle. And there's there's a lot of moving parts in my life right now that will be culminating towards the time that this whole thing is going to be wrapping up. And then I believe that I will have I'll have a little bit more capacity. I'm not really sure how much, but I'll see when that time gets here. But hopefully I'll have enough capacity to jump back into the dating scene. Because it's still just too much to handle right now. I'm barely here doing these episodes. So I want to give myself the chance to do that. And when I tell you, I'm so excited to be able to date as a legally single woman, because I'm so tired of having to give the disclaimer of I'm technically married, but it's not what you think. It's not as bad as you think. It's bad, but not bad in the way you think. Yeah, it's not cute. It's super ghetto, and I don't want to do it no more. So I really do feel like this horrible season is coming to an end. Although there's still a lot of things that I wish weren't the case. This is by far the biggest hurdle that I've had to go through, is just getting this fucking divorce finalized. And so I'm really excited. It feels like the end of a bad season, and y'all, I'm hopeful that the next season has to be better, right? Like, good gracious, it has to be. So I'm excited for what is to come in this next season. And yeah, like, God has been really, really showing up. I feel like he's kind of giving me a new footing, finally. And I say finally, not like it's the end, but it's been so long of just bullshit and me and God not really seeing eye to eye. Like, I trust you, but not all the way, that kind of feeling. And I feel like he's finally starting to redeem my story. It ain't all the redeemed, but I feel that it's coming. And so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Yeah. I think it's going to be good. And so even just that little bit of hope is something that I haven't seen in a couple years. So I'm really excited about what the future holds, and I'm hopeful that it's gonna match my hype, y'all. I'm really hopeful for that. So anyways, the other thing really quickly is, so that little hiatus I took, it felt good, y'all. And not the not talking part, because I love to talk, especially about my business, to strangers, but I don't like all the other shit. I don't like the editing. I don't like having to learn the camera, learn the mic, all the other setup shit. And I surely don't like social media. Like, y'all, prior to this endeavor, I was the post once a year on my birthday, because I feel it's necessary for me to update my profile pic at least once a year. So all of this, like, keeping up and posting regularly so that y'all remember me, that's not the way I operate. Anybody that knows me knows that ain't me. And so yeah, it felt good to not feel that pressure. And I wanted to wait until the year mark, which is like right around the corner, April something. But a bitch ain't make it. So it is what it is. I'm going to scale back. I'm not going to stop doing it, but I can't be bothered with this whole like content creator pressure. Like, this ain't my job. And until it pays me to be here, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to put out content when I have something to say, when I feel led by God, when I feel inspired, or I just feel like being particularly reckless. Whatever, it's what I decide. And when I have the time and capacity to do so. And so it might be weekly, it might be bi-weekly, it might be monthly, it might just be every once in a blue moon. I'm hopeful that it'll be more often, but whatever comes, and whatever doesn't, I'm okay with that. Because quite honestly, I am blessed just by the process of making it, so the viewership, don't care that much. Like, it'd be nice if it was able to be received well, but if it's not, it doesn't take away the joy that I get from creating it. Also, if only one person watches it, y'all, I just want it to reach the person that it's made for. And if it ain't everybody, that's quite okay with me, because it's never been about that. Like, this is just another way for me to tell my story. Otherwise, I'm having to rely on my friends to be in need of everything I got to say. So in this way, I'm able to reach a much larger audience of people that might be going through something that I've gone through, that might be able to connect with me. And y'all, I love so much the feedback that I get when it's like something that somebody needed to hear, because I know that exact feeling. And I know how blessed I feel when I hear the word that just hits me right, you know? So anyways, I do love this, and I'm going to continue to do it as long as I'm able to, but I'm certainly not going to let it get in the way of my like quality of life, because I'm trying to keep up with all the extra stuff that comes with producing this content. So anyways, I'll be scaling back, effective immediately. But anyways, if you guys have any, again, please comment, please reach out, let me know how you feel about things, whether it's good or bad. I have dudes all the time, especially dudes are usually the ones that'll be like, I like some of the shit you said, some of the shit was wild and I ain't agree with, but I like some of it, or I like that dude that was on, you know. I love that feedback. In fact, I'd love to hear what you disagreed on. Let's talk about it. I'd love to bring you on. So any kind of feedback you have, any things that you want me to talk about or cover, reach out and tell me. DM me, message me, call me, text me if you have my number, any of that stuff. I'm open to it all. If you want to be on here, I love to have guests and other people to bounce ideas off of and feedback. Yeah, that's it really. As always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen and just join me. If you are on social media, check me out at is_Alexis. That's ISS_Alexis. No E, no I, double S. Or if you listen to podcasts, check me out anywhere podcasts are found at Lex Talk. That's LEXTLK. And I can't wait to see you guys in another video, whenever that may be. All right, bye.